Hi everyone, it's Fitz with the Postgame Walk and Talk. I'm not in Stillwater. I'm here in my studio in Manhattan, and I'm sitting because I'm a few days post-surgery. I'm not going to do much moving at all today, whether on camera or off. And unfortunately for Kansas State, they did go to Stillwater on Saturday, and they are coming home with a loss. 82-79, the Cowboys prevail in overtime. It's a pretty entertaining game. K-State kept scrapping. I'll give this to Bruce Weber's team. They never gave up. They didn't shoot the ball very well. This was not a really good performance by K-State, but somehow they stuck around, even though Oklahoma State was shooting the ball well, even though they didn't really dominate rebounding, even though they didn't have dramatically less turnovers, which they did have fewer, but none of those stats seemed to change the game to the point where K-State should have been in it, shooting it as poorly as they did from two-point range. In fact, the Wildcats shot better from three-point range throughout this game. Very frustrating game for the Cats. They just couldn't quite get over the hump throughout this contest. They struggled and struggled. They had the four guards all playing well for them. Mike McGurl joining Pack and Smith and Noel in double figures, as those four really had nice games. But again, Nigel Pack didn't shoot it as well as he has, as he's had now back-to-back rough nights from the field. Everyone wants to just jump out and assume that this means K-State is out of the tournament. It's not that cut and dried. There's still games to be played. They do go to Kansas this week with a great opportunity. I know how that will probably turn out. They've got to win their two remaining home games with Iowa State and Oklahoma in Manhattan to really have much of a chance, and then probably go get two more in Kansas City to be on the bubble, or win at Tech, which is also still available to this team. A lot of challenges ahead for K-State to overcome. I don't know how they're going to do that, because this was a game that they really needed to win. It wasn't a must win. It can be overcome, but overcoming it's a lot more difficult than just winning in Stillwater. And that's a pretty good Oklahoma State team. Credit to Mike Boynton and his staff for keeping that group together. They can't play in the postseason, so when their last regular season game is played this year, they're done for the year. Even though they're good enough to be in the postseason, the NCAA has hit them with a ban on the postseason, even though no one in the program right now had anything to do with the infractions. I've spoken on a daily delivery about that. I just admire Oklahoma State a lot for how they kept scrapping and playing, even though they don't really have anything at stake here other than pride. And K-State was awfully diligent. They just couldn't get over the hump. And again, another performance by a Bruce Weber team that isn't quite finite enough, not good enough to get the job done in this game. They just couldn't quite make that extra play or pass. They even got some good calls from their side of the whistle, so to speak, coming down the stretch, and it didn't get them over the hump. Not much to break down in this game. Really, honestly, it's a disappointing loss. This would have moved them really close to being in the NCAA tournament with taking care of business at home. Now they've got another loss, and they have to go out and find a way to get enough wins, which is probably at least 3, if not 4, to get into the tournament from here on out. A lot of work ahead for the Weber's Wildcats. They're not out of it. They're not done. But boy, this group knows how to make life as difficult as possible, not just on them or their coaches, but on the fans.